Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Ute Dash. My name is Cole Bagley, the assistant editor of the Daily Utah Chronicle. I'm your host for today's show. I'm joined by the lovely Sammy Mora, editor for the Utah Daily Chronicle. And Sammy, how are we doing this weekend after an unfortunate cancellation of the Utah football game?
I'm sad, still a little sad, but we got some plus sides. We got our shirts.
Yes, represent the must, baby.
Shout out to the must for these lovely t-shirts and the lovely masks we purchased. So that's fun. But, I'm feeling a little optimistic, just literally right before we came on. Our game got flexed to Saturday. I'm optimistic.
The game against UCLA.
Yes, to Saturday, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Fox.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I think they're giving Utah every opportunity to get some positive or some negative COVID tests in so that we've got our full roster, or at least enough to play the football game. And hopefully that extension means it's going to happen.
I remain optimistic. I'm always an optimist. And I think that this is a really good sign for Utah football. But, we'll see how it goes. But that's not what we came on to talk about today. We came on to talk about someone who's very important to Utah football.
Very, very important. The king, the man, the myth, the legend, Kyle Whttingham. Sammy, let's get into this. So on Wednesday, November 4th, Utah Athletics announced that Coach Kyle Whttingham had signed a contract extension through 2027. Whttingham, this would be his 16th season as Utah's head coach, 27th season on the football staff. He's actually the longest tenured coach in the Pac-12, which is something to say, and the third longest tenured head coach at the same school in the NCAA. He was a 2019 Pac-12 Coach of the Year, Bobby Dodd National Coach of the Year, and ranked second in Utah school history in wins with a career record of 131-64. In his 26 years at Utah, he has contributed to more victories than any coach in program history with 216. He was the defensive coach for quite a while. Sammy, what does this mean for the Utah football program?
Consistency. Consistency is the biggest thing. Program. It's going to help recruiting because players are going to be more willing to show up being like, hey, the athletic department trusts this guy enough to have him on contract through 2027. That's 7 years, an additional 7 years. So that means that if you're coming in the class of 2021 with everything going on, you should still have Whit as your coach by the time you graduate. That's something that not a lot of other Pac-12 schools can guarantee, is that you have this coach who's consistent and consistently winning, and the athletic department has faith in him to lead the team for all of these years. Consistency is great. Also, this sets up Whttingham to become the all-time winningest coach in program history. Okay? Ike Armstrong is currently the winningest coach. He has 141 wins. Whit has 131 according to Utah Athletics. He is 10 wins away. 10. If he can't win 10 games in the next 7 years, there is something that is seriously wrong.
Well, it won't be 7 years then.
It won't be. It won't be 7 years. If he can't win 10 games within, just lock it up, shut it down, we're done. But also, he's well on his way to be the coach to have coached the most games in Utah football history. Again, Ike Armstrong, he coached 211. Whit is already at 190. If we play any games this season, he will be taking steps closer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you, Sammy. Consistency is the biggest thing here. It's huge for college programs with the amount of turnover with players. Being able to have such a long tenured coach, it's what makes programs great. Think historically, I think even about now, guys like Nick Saban, he's in his 13th year. Dabo Swinney is in his 12th year with Clemson. And look at those programs. Look at what those programs have been able to accomplish. Those two programs have been at the top of college football for the last couple of years, especially Alabama, for most of the time that Nick Saban has been there. And so, when you can maintain a fantastic coach, it's huge for the program. You see college athletic programs just chew up and spit out college coaches far too often. And I think that's why certain programs struggle, is because if you can't maintain one guy, if you can't get his coaching style and his play style in for an extended amount of time, the program's going to struggle. And clearly Utah, not just the university, but the state of Utah loves Coach Whitt. And they're so lucky, and it's so great for them to continue to have this guy, not only for as long as we have, but another 7 years.
Also, Whittingham is really, I think it's people would talk about it all the time, but it's worth to mention that there's a lot of coaches in the state of Utah who learned under Kyle Whttingham. Kalani Sitake at BYU, Jay Hill at Weber State, Gary Anderson, before he got fired yesterday from Utah State, was a coach at Utah. Whttingham is good at training these coaches who go on to have successful programs. Weber State is one of the best D2 schools. They're consistently competing for national championships. And I don't say it's all Whit, but I think the way that Jay Hill learned through this program helped him become that successful head coach. And when you think of college programs, you want to have a coach that people can easily latch onto and recognize. And I think Whttingham is that for Utah. Like Saban is that for Alabama. For some reason, when I think USC, I think Pete Carroll. That's who my brain jumps to.
Well, and even think about down south, the school down south, BYU, Lavelle Edwards,
I think of Bronco too.
Yeah, and Bronco. But I think that, Lavelle was and is the BYU football coach. Everybody thinks. I mean, they named the stadium after the guy, and not that Rice Eccles is going to be changing names to Kyle Whttingham Stadium or anything like that. But
where are they going to put this? Where are they going to put the statue?
Exactly. I think even to this point, you think about Utah football and you think about the great coaches, and it is Kyle Whttingham, but he's going to even make that more so. He's going to deepen that. He's going to really just make it his. And, years from now, when Whttingham is long gone, people will think this is the greatest Utah head football coach in the history of the program.
They will walk out on the concourse at Rice Eccles Stadium, right past the new Ken Garff Performance Zone. They will look at the bronze statue of Kyle Whttingham, and they'll be like, that's the GOAT, but also those calves. But he's
had to mention him.
And I've talked about this before with people. Even though Whit says, when Whit retires, I don't think Whit's going to just quit cold turkey on football. I could see him still being an advisor on the team with whoever takes over, whether it's in a defensive role, whether it's in a leadership role. Whttingham is not going to just be able to just be like deuces and then leave. That's just not who that's not his personality. That's not who he is. Football is his life.
Well, and I hope for the sake of the program that he does stick around, maybe as a scout or, somewhere in the athletic program. Who knows?
Look at John Pease.
Yeah.
He's been an advisor on the team.
Yeah, he clearly has made his impact on the program. They like what he's doing, and they're only good to come. But what I hope that he is able to win a few Pac-12 championships. That's one thing that I think would really make the statement of this is the guy. This is the legend. This is Coach Whitt. Not that he hasn't already done so, but I think that would really help. And I mean, I don't know about you, Sammy, but I'd love to see a couple Pac-12 championship trophies in the trophy room.
I would love to see that too. But also, I know that Morgan Scalley had his coach in waiting title taken from him with the whole investigation that happened over the summer. But I do think that when Whitt does decide to hang it up, Scalley will have worked his way back up and will have regained that title.
I agree.
Coach in waiting. And I also think that Sharif Shaw is being groomed to become the next defensive coordinator at Utah. I think you have Scalley come into that head coaching job, and also maybe he maintains safeties. I don't know. But then you have Sharif Shaw come in and be the DC and maintain his corners group. And it's not it keeps those those key coaches that you have, because that's something that high school kids like to see, is that you have these coaches, because it sucks when you get recruited by a coach and then he's not there 6 months after you sign your NLI.
Right. Well, and it helps when the head coaches are grooming their replacements. You know, whether or not they're fired or if they retire, it's tough if they just get the whole program, right? And so a lot of people would disagree, but I think, and I also hope that it is Morgan Scally that is the next head coach. I think he's, you know, he does have some room to make up and to maybe regain some people's trust, but I just
think 7 years to do it now.
Yeah, and he's learning under Coach Whitt, which who better to learn from than that man. But Sammy, let's move on to our second topic. And we're not going to stop talking about Coach Whitt.
This is the Coach Whitt spectacular. That is all we're talking about all day.
All day. So if you don't like it, get out.
Or don't.
But if
stay,
you do,
stay. Listen to us talk about Coach Whitt because we love the guy. We've
Absolutely.
said it, in Whitt we trust. That is one of the main mantras of this show.
Oh, 100%.